Right, stepping back into chart mode. I've been doing other things, yeah, but I'm back. Well, at least I'm trying to be back. I'm trying to get my feet wet. Um, Observing the charts as always. We had a good run up in Bitcoin since that time where I called that move up and it went up and up and up and hit the all-time high. But I'm all about corrections. See, I don't care so much about anything apart from corrections. Well, I do care about the parts where they move up and you make money. Yeah, I lie. It's true. But what really interests me in terms of RS wave is the correction, because that's when you know when the next move up is coming. So, look, at the moment, I'm just getting my feet wet, getting back into this. I have that itch again. Every now and then I get that itch to start talking. And the thing that made me want to make this video is that we had on the 4 hour chart, Bitcoin hit the 1000 period moving average. To me, that's something good, something interesting, something worth talking about. I don't want to talk about chop, right? I don't want to talk about ups and downs and little moves here and there. Like I want to see what's coming up, what's in the future, right? What are we looking forward to? So at this point, look, if I had to give you a basic feeling of what I'm seeing, it's not easy, right? Because for starters, if you go back to my old analysis here from a few months ago, like this is telling me that this is a wave five, right? Wave five in a fifth of a fifth wave. So we had a wave one, 2019. We had wave three up to 2021. We had a corrective component here. And look, if this is to be correct, like at this point in time, I'm not going to get deep into this. I might go deeper. Like every now and then, like when I rest my mind for a bit, I come back with more. So uh, this particular count suggests that wave three ended up here. Like it's possible, right? And the reason is because of the corrective components down here. It looks like a complete five-wave move, but then you'd have to go back to wave two and ignore a few things to assume that. Like for example, is this an ABC or is this an A, B, C, D, E? You know that type of thing. Like I don't want to get into that right now because I can't be bothered. But personally, at this point in time, I think that looking at this in this wave five type of scenario is a good idea. Why? Because if you go back to the weekly chart, and you probably can't do it so well here, but all right, why not? Let's go to the BLX because I know I haven't changed this view since then. So if we're looking at the beginning here, one, two, three, like wave three ended 2017, right? Well, according to this, well, you got weak wave five, and you've got another five that's weak. So this, since the end of a third wave, it's gotten weaker every time, right? So in terms of like like the strength of the move, it has gotten weaker, right? You can't deny that, right? So for me, this count is still valid. So look, I've come back in a way that I want to be humble about things, right? I'm not telling you this is how it's going to be. I'm telling you based on what I've learned seems to be right, at certain times and makes a lot of sense. So I'm gonna start talking to you in a way that these things kind of make sense to me, right? And I'm gonna go based on probability, and I'm not gonna force my view down your throat, and you can take it for what it is. Like I could be completely wrong, right? But given that I'm really into the corrective components, and then I look at you know strength of an impulsive move. If we're looking at a long-term impulsive move here, this is a weak wave five. I just get the feeling, right? Until I'm proven wrong, I have to go with something, right? Because you got to have some kind of view, right? Otherwise, you don't have a view, right? For example, if you're trying to be too careful and really don't know much about what's going on or don't have an opinion, then you can't really form a video to explain your view in a holistic view, right? Because you're just gonna keep saying, "Oh, this could happen, blah blah blah." I don't want to do that. So if I'm gonna come back here now again, stronger than ever, I'm gonna do it in a more humble manner. But I'm also gonna maintain a viewpoint, but not make it so that it comes across in a way that I believe that's 100% how it's going to be, right? Okay, so let's go back now. So we have the wave 5 mentality, right? So if anything, we're in a fifth of a fifth wave now. It's the weakest it's been, right? So if you like drill down a little bit, you can see one, two, three, four, five. I mean, why wouldn't it be, right? Wave 4 never went into the price territory of wave 1 and 2, so it's possible. Um, it's it's getting weaker, right? Especially now because it started to chop sideways, and that's what I was kind of waiting for. I was waiting for that kind of thing to happen because if it kept going up, 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 even stronger, then you could almost assume it's a third of a third wave in a fifth wave, probably like an extension. Now, I'm not saying that can't happen. This could be a third of a third wave extension to the upside, but you got to look at everything else going on in all the other markets. Could this be a topping phase? Now, I'm leaning towards the topping phase until I get something that tells me maybe that I'm wrong. So let's talk about that a little bit. So if I go down back to BTC USDT, the shorter term chart that I have these levels on, let's just say, for example, that we have here potentially a you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the fifth of a fifth of a fifth wave. So 5, 5, 5, like fifth of, you know, could be. So that kind of means that like we had wave 1. Now I'm just going to change the color of this because there are certain things I just need to do. I'm just going to make this white. I'm not going to get fancy. Just so I can highlight something. So let's just say, for example, that this is wave 1 that happened down here. Now, why would I suggest that? Well, this looks like a DE pattern. We never look when you create a 1-2 like this, where on every single Bitcoin chart on any exchange, it never went below that point. Kind of tells me then potentially it could have been a 1-2 scenario. So a 1-2 scenario would suggest that 1-2 happened. We had a 3 at some point here, which I think it's around here. To then have a 4, right? To then lead into that fifth wave move, right? So that means that, like, essentially what I'm trying to say is that this is the last move, and it was a big fifth wave. Like, there's no rules broken. Wave 1 still the shortest. Wave 3 longer than wave 1, but wave 5 went a bit nuts, right? Which is what Bitcoin tends to do. Like, I mean, it just does that. It doesn't mean that it's the master of percentages, right? Like previously, in the initial run up since, the beginning, 2011, whatever, but it looks good on a chart. So it looks impressive. And I think it's psychologically, it's supposed to, right? I think that it's supposed to like suck as many people in as possible. But there are clues along the way, like, where I got you into this trade to begin with, kind of was like a very small spot. Like, if you remember back to that video when I said kind of like, let's get into this trade, whatever, and it was around here. It was in this small little spot, right? We got in here. We went up. Now, obviously, it went higher, but the point I'm trying to make is that we had this sideways correction, which was like basically a small wave two, right? Now, I'm starting to feel that that led to alternation causing a large wave four to occur. And because of that, I believe there is one more push coming for wave 5. Probably not going to be a major push by any stretch, but you never know. It could be, and it wouldn't make a difference because it'd be the last move in this cycle, right? Assuming that it's not like I said before, a third of a third wave, etc. But if you look at the other markets, things are not looking quite right, and especially altcoins and even the stock market pattern, which like I believe we're heading into an interesting period in time, especially when it comes to the end of the year with the elections. I think we're going to continue to chop sideways until that happens in November. I believe that what we're seeing here, quite simply put, is an A. I believe it's look. I think don't quote me on this because I know there was a new high made up here. And so, therefore, potentially could be a very strange look. Either wave B has completed or it's still on the way. Now, that would be crazy because this correction would go even longer. But let's just say, for argument's sakes, that um, that's a B. Well, it's hard to say that's a C because this one made a tiny move above the start of wave 1. Now, I've seen that before in cryptos, Bitcoin. It's just a very sharp pullback. So it could either be that. Now I'm gonna look more into this moving forward. Don't worry. But I think that we could see the wave C go a bit lower, right? So wouldn't be surprised if wave C pulled back a bit more. Okay. Now the reason for that is because I wouldn't call this a CDE pattern. Like I just can't do that. Like it's too small. It's ridiculous. It's a bad idea. Instead of doing that, I'd rather say that B wave hasn't ended yet, right? So that's why I'm still on the lookout for more price action, but I think it's going to be limited. I think it's just going to it's just going to take longer to play out the wave 4, and I will keep an eye on it. But once we start to see evidence of it getting closer to the end of wave 4, then I will ramp up my ideas because that will coincide with a whole bunch of other stuff that's going on in the markets. I guarantee it, right? Because that's how usually it goes. So for now, I just thought I'd show up and say something about what we're seeing here. But look, I knew this would happen. That's why I haven't been posting because I don't want to post junk and garbage and spam trash. I'd rather just sort of give you my point of view at a point in time when something significant happens. Like, for example, on the 4-hour chart, we hit that 1000 period moving average and it pierced it, bounced, but it's nothing really significant. But to me, I like it. I like that. It's something to talk about. It makes me feel like I want to say something. But like I said, we're still looking out for what this wave really means. We haven't broken the start of it yet, so I can't really say, well, that's B completed, now C waves. If we break the start of the B wave, then yeah, I could say that the C wave's definitely in progress, almost completed. Then we're looking for a D. But when you just look at the crazy size difference between a 4 and a 2, it is pretty big, right? It is massive. So we've got to be careful to assume what it really is. Could it be something bigger, etc.? But I don't think so. I think that it's just doing this not just because of alternation, but because we hit the all-time highs, and people get excited. There's a lot of emotion in the market. There's a lot of ETFs going on. There's this and that, right? I mean, you got to think about it. What happens in the markets at a top, right? It's a psychological thing, right? We get a bit of FOMO. We get a bit, and you know, but you got to take all the other things into consideration, right? Like the weakness of the trend, like or strength of the trend. In this case, it's a weakness. It's getting weaker. Are we going to continue to see it get weaker and weaker and weaker? Yeah, I don't know, but all I'm gonna do is keep looking at these waves and how they perform, and see if it gives me inspiration to make the next video. So if you enjoyed this one, stick around, you might see some more. Thanks for watching.